Hi, my name is Jamie, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of the growth of our special education system in America and all the changes and some of the changes in laws that have been enacted to better the educational experience for those exceptional students. Throughout history, there have been people, both young and old, with exceptionalities that have made education harder for them. There have been changes for specific groups of disabilities, such as Louis Braille creating the Braille system for the blind in the 1820s, or the creation of the first school for the deaf in 1817. This video is intended to give you, as parents or guardians, a background on the educational system in America and how the system has grown to benefit those with exceptionalities that make them special. Originally, there was no push for education for those with exceptionalities, disabilities, or anything that made the student stand out instead of fitting into the uniform standard they, the government, or people of America, believed students should fit into. In 1910, the White House held a conference solely to discuss the youth of America with disabilities and how to approach segregation between the students with disabilities and the students without disabilities inside the classrooms. It was decided that the disabled students would be moved from the institutions they were in and they would be put into the classrooms. While they were allowed inside the classrooms and the schools, they still kept the disabled students segregated and away from the non-disabled students. The Supreme Court of Illinois made a ruling in 1958 in the case the Department of Public Welfare versus Haas that said students with disabilities were not required to receive a free public education because they didn't fit in the category and they were either feeble-minded or mentally deficient. Another similar case was in 1969 in the state of North Carolina. The state made it a crime for the parents to insist on sending their inept and disabled students to school. All of this gives the horrible background and treatment of the students with exceptionalities. In the case of Brown versus Board of Education in 1954, was the turning point for education in America. This is the case that removed segregation, either racial segregation or because they had disabilities, from the school setting. The court stated that characterizing a person's educational quality based on an uncontrollable trait is unethical and immoral. In 1973, the Rehabilitation Act gave the students civil rights. They gave the special ed students civil rights, demanding they receive a chance at a free public education. Specifically, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. This was literally the first time, but not the last, that disabled students were given federal civil rights, protecting their educational journey. Now, throughout the revamp of the educational system, a driving force that pushed for these changes and got them done has been the families and the students and the teachers of the students with exceptionalities. Now we jump up to 1997 to when IDEA came about. IDEA stands for Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This gave a reauthorization to the laws and amendments already being used that we got in the Rehabilitation Act that made sure that students received a quality education that could be considered equal to those that had no disabilities or exceptionalities. In 2004, there was another group of amendments that gave more to IDEA. Students were now to be tested and identified within their school systems as well as legally if need be. The teachers that were now teaching the special education classes had to have specific training so they knew what different disabilities were and how to teach them the best way they can. Another instance that helped protect students with exceptionalities is called Ferpa, which stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This protects academic records of students. It also gives the families of students legal rights to their students' academic records. And the school or the school district cannot give away student information without consent, except to a few organizations such as Child Protective Services or the judicial system. Now, below this video, I have links to a few websites to help out if you need any more assistance in understanding and staying up to date with current laws and regulations. The first is the ADA website, that's American Disability Association. And it gives a lot of different resources and information that is up to date with special education across the nation. It also shows different outcomes of proceedings if there's ever a lawsuit or any of that stuff. The IDEA website gives you a more in-depth look at what IDEA is and how you can help you and your family out. In the state I'm in, Texas, we have TEA. Yes, we love our T. Stands for Texas Education Agency. And this is the academic agency. And here for Texas, yay! Here you can find plenty of links to keep up with current laws, policies, and regulations inside the state that pertains to special education. Thank you for your time.